Hi, my name is Ryan. I am the founder and president of B&R Computers. Today's webinar is why small businesses are attacked more than large ones, and then what they don't tell you. So there's a lot that's going on in the industry with cybersecurity, and small businesses tend to be more attacked than large ones. And in this webinar, we're going to dig into why. So one of the main reasons is AI lets attackers cast a wide net, and medium businesses are the easiest catch. So attackers are no longer picking victims manually. AI scans millions of business simultaneously, and it'll flag the easiest targets. And honestly, small businesses win that filter every time. So 43% of small businesses hit with cyber attacks, and then 350% increase in AI-powered attacks against small and medium businesses. And then typically with small and medium businesses, within 6 months of an attack, 60% will go out of business. So, as you can see, nearly half of all small businesses are going to be hit with a cyber attack. And then near a little over half of those will go out of business within 6 months of an attack, just due to the expense and cost of everything. So today's webinar, we're going to cover how AI has changed the attack landscape, why small and medium businesses are still the easiest catch, and then how to close the gap. So attackers no longer choose their victims manually. So AI-powered tools can scan millions of businesses simultaneously, 24/7, looking for the path of least resistance. And that path almost always leads to a small business. So the fishing net analogy is the easiest to understand in today's environment. So in the past, attackers would use like a fishing rod approach. They would manually research and select specific targets because they wanted to go after the bigger fish, so to say. So it was time consuming, sophisticated, and rare. And then the victim had to be worth their effort to attack. Now with AI, they can cast a wide net, and there's automated tools that cast a net across millions of businesses simultaneously. And like I said, 24/7. There's no manual effort, there's no human decision. So the net still catches more small fish. So in the past, they would target businesses and it had to be worth their time. Now with AI, they just cast the net and whatever comes back is who they go after. AI doesn't eliminate targeting, it just makes it automated and 24/7. Automated scanners filter for easiest entry and the fastest payout. Small and medium businesses win that filter every time. And why you might ask? So they've got weaker defenses. They've got no endpoint detection and response software. Typically, we've seen firsthand no multi-factor authentication on their critical business systems and emails. They've got unpatched systems, meaning they're not installing updates regularly. And then AI scanners can flag you in seconds. If there's an unpatched system with a vulnerability sitting on the internet, they very quickly can see and then you become a target. Faster payouts. So there's less legal process due to not being able to afford it. And there's more panic because without being able to function, you have no money coming in and you're more panicked. And then automated systems route to the fastest return on investment for the criminals. No monitoring. So the average dwell time in a small and medium business for these criminals is up to 21 days on average. So they're sitting in your systems for 3 weeks or more, and just watching how you operate, how you function. If they're in your email systems, they're watching who you're communicating with. So AI planted malware can operate undetected for up to 3 weeks or more. Supply chain value. So compromising you gives AI tools a path to larger clients automatically. So think about, a lot of small businesses, they use larger vendors. If they're in your systems watching who you communicate with for 3 weeks, they know who your large vendors are. And now those large vendors can easily become a target due to, coming through you. And we've seen firsthand supply chain attacks with small businesses. And then no recovery plan. So most small, medium businesses, they've got untested backups, if they even have backups at all. But untested backups means they've got maximum ransom leverage. AI optimizes this for weakness. So if you've got no backups or untested backups and you get hit with ransomware, you've got no way to recover without paying the ransom. But fun fact, the criminals are now using extortion. Even so, if you don't pay the ransom because you've got viable backups and you can restore, the criminals are now using extortion where, okay, that's fine. You can restore your systems from a backup, but we're going to start reaching out to all of your clients because we've got that information and let them know that you were breached. So it's almost like you have to pay the ransom regardless, because if you don't, they're still going to reach out to your clients and let them know that they've got their information. So make the scanner move on, become a hard target. So how can you fix your environment, your equipment, to be a smaller target or a harder target to find? So AI scanners are opportunistic. They move to the next target the moment resistance appears. So you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be harder than average. And honestly, in our experience, the bar is very low. Being harder than average, most businesses aren't doing a whole lot to protect their systems. So just doing a few things can make you a harder target than most. So the top 5 controls that take you off the list or make it a harder target for the criminals: if you've got multi-factor authentication on everything. So credential stuffing, as it's called, there's bots that automatically do this. So credential stuffing bots hit a wall instantly, so there's no entry. And that's just by having multi-factor authentication on as much as you can, your systems, your emails, your critical business accounts. Number 2, EDR, endpoint detection and response, is not just antivirus. So behavioral detection catches AI planted malware that antivirus would never see. So it's, we often say that antivirus is not enough, and that's because antivirus in the traditional sense is not catching the modern day threats. Um, you know, Antivirus is almost useless at this point. There's still some critical things that it can find and pick up, but in a business environment, EDR is the most critical. Tested backup and recovery. So ransomware bots skip targets that can restore without paying. And again, if they're on the systems, they see, oh, you've got backup software and everything like that. As long as the backups are not accessible on the network, because ransomware can encrypt anything on the network. So if you're saving things to a server or to an external drive, uh, those things could be encrypted as part of the ransomware attack. So you've got to have some sort of resilient backups that ransomware cannot touch. Employee phishing training. So AI generated phishing fails against trained employees who report it. So if they're targeting your business with phishing emails and trying to get people, employees' credentials with phishing emails, if your employees are trained, they're going to know what to look for, and they're going to report it, delete it, ignore it, and just move on. Dark web monitoring. So know when AI tools already have your credentials before they use them. And again, firsthand, we've seen a business that their credentials were compromised as part of a vendor breach that they had. So their vendor was breached. The credentials for this business were compromised. And they were on the dark web for over 6 months before the criminals used them. So had the business been using dark web monitoring, they would have known 6 months prior that they had um, a compromise, and they would have been able to better protect their email systems before the criminal actually compromised them. So at the bottom there, it says AI scanners move millions of times a day. Basic hardening makes you invisible to almost all of them. So think about it. I mean, the internet is constantly being scanned by AI bots, and even, the criminals themselves are still doing it. But it's always ongoing. And that's why if you ever hear of like a 0-day exploit or 0-day vulnerability, those are things that in an instant when they're found could compromise your systems, which is why it's critical too to back up, to update your systems regularly. So would a scanner flag your business as an easy target? So this is the reality check of it. Can your employees log into any business system with just a username and password? And I would go so far as to say business system, email account, critical business accounts. If you're an accountant or a tax office, and your QuickBooks software, your Intuit software. If anything can be logged in with just a username and password, that is a potential vulnerability right there. Would you know within 24 hours if an AI-powered tool had silently accessed your network? Then again, the 21-day dwell time means that automated malware operates undetected for weeks. So malware is stealing your keystrokes, your credentials, your usernames and passwords, and you don't even know it. So would you be able to know within 24 hours if there was anything in your network that's doing that? And then if AI deployed ransomware hit tonight, could you restore without paying? Ransomware bots are tuned to target businesses with no tested backups. Now, again, they're starting to use extortion as well. So even if you have backups and you're not going to pay the ransom, they may still use your information and exploit you that way. So, really, you don't want to get ransomware regardless, even if you've got good backups. Are you a vendor to a larger business? Do they know your security posture? So supply chain attacks use AI to find weak vendors and pivot to the larger prize. So again, in the case of even if you're a small business and you're using larger vendors, if you get compromised, your vendors could become a target. And there's some legal ramifications to that as well. If the breach can be connected back to your business, you could potentially be on the hook for liability of that. So how do we help? We offer a free 30-minute business risk review. And we run the same assessment automated attackers do before they get the chance. So we uncover in the review if you've got MFA and an EDR and any network security gaps, your backup and recovery readiness, dark web exposure and credential risks, and then your supply chain risk assessment. So like I said, it's a free 30-minute call, and we go through a series of questions just to kind of understand what you know and what your environment and system and business currently have in place. And then at the end of the call, we provide you with a series of actionable items. If there's anything that needs to be addressed, we'll provide the list of things to address. And whether you try to rectify those on yourself, or if you've already got an IT provider, or if you need our help, that's what we do. So, it's like I said, it's free 30 minutes and there's no obligation. We're just here to help businesses better understand their risk. And, if they can become more secure from it, then that's great. That's what we're here for. So that's all that I've got today. I appreciate your time watching this webinar. And if you have any questions or concerns or ideas for future topics, feel free to give us a call, send us an email. We're always available. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to the next webinar. Thank you.